Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I have on life coach Pat Cross. He was actually featured in Jay Shetty's magazine, Purpose Ed. And today we went through a lot of different subjects and topics in our conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So hey Pat, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm
good. It's good to see you. You look great.
Well, thank you very much. You do too.
You know, I haven't seen you in person since 2017, 3 years maybe. No.
Is that right?
No. Sorry, that was the time. That was the second to last time I saw you. The last time I think I saw you was 2018, I think.
Is that right? Well, yeah. It's been a while. That's for sure.
It's been a while. What's the secret, Pat, to not aging?
Forgetting that aging exists.
Oh, interesting perspective. So number just, it's in our mind, right? We're all just here.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, you start saying things like I'm getting older, I'm feeling older, I'm worried about getting old. And of course, you're focusing on exactly what you don't want, and that's exactly what you get. You did a law of attraction recently.
I did. It's crazy. You know what's funny? So when I was in college, university, I think that's when The Secret came out, like the book and the movie. And I watched it and I'm like, man, it's kind of a lot of baloney, you know? It's like, what's all this? If I think I'm gonna bike, I'm gonna get a bike. You know what I mean? I've been wanting a bike my whole life, growing up and whatnot, right? So it was hard to believe at that time. But as you get older and as you kind of see the world and you get more experience and you have a more like grasp hold on what it really means, I can understand it a lot more now in terms of what it really represents for everybody. Because I think when I watched it the first time, it was very like surface level, and if you just think about something, it's gonna happen. But what I found in my own experience is when you think about something, it causes you to have a chain reaction that leads to other things. And these other things will bring you closer to that thing that you're thinking about. And as you go deeper and deeper, you'll get closer and closer.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I mean, that's the problem with it's our problem with our society, with everything. It's superficial. And of course you thought it was baloney because the way the movie The Secret presented it, it was baloney. I mean, that was a terrible representation of what the law of attraction really is. And so it's pretty poor, and it catered to people who were stuck on the superficial. So when you present a superficial presentation like that to people who are determined to be on the superficial, then it's baloney. It doesn't come across very authentically. And so people are looking for exactly that. Well, I think of a bike and that means I'll get it, right? It's like everybody wants that quick fix. So you mean I don't have to work? I don't have to do anything? I just have to think about something. But even that, like while you're thinking about the bike for 100 of your 72,000 thoughts a day, you're thinking about negative stuff for many of the other thoughts which interfere with the bike. So you have to understand that every single thought you have attracts your reality.
That's like
just the ones you want.
I can agree to that because I've really been understanding how to block out negative thoughts, and it's not that easy because we're very stimulated all the time to produce negative thoughts.
Well, again, it's like it's to keep us safe, it's to keep us alive, it's to keep us surviving, right? So if we focus on the negative, we can be in that state of protection all the time, but we don't really need to be in a state of protection. And the last thing you want to do is block out negative thoughts because it makes them stronger, right? You give credence and power to anything you try and block out, right? Because you're legitimizing it by believing you have to block it out. And while you're blocking it out, you're not allowing all the positives to appear. You're so busy blocking out the negatives, which is reinforcing the negative. So that doesn't work.
So you just got to confront it, Pat. Just confront the negative thoughts and figure things out.
Confront them, because anything you resist persists, right? When you confront it, you create conflict. I mean, the war on drugs gave us more drugs. The war on cancer gives us more cancer. The war on terrorism gives us more terrorism. In the NHL, the 1 year where they focused on head injuries, they had more than ever before. Whatever you focus on, you get more of. Look at COVID. I mean, it's a disaster because everybody doesn't talk about or think about anything else. And so we need to really wake the fuck up and realize, why are you always at war with yourself and everything around you and your thoughts? And while you're doing that, you're creating resistance, right? You're creating literally attention, attension. And when you give something attention, then it takes your full attention. And anything that takes your attention, you're glued to. So you make it bigger by trying to block it out.
Gotcha. What do you think's the best way to go about it?
Go about? It's like letting go of the idea that anything bad is happening, right? That is separate from everything good that's happening. So anything that you see as a problem or an obstacle, it has a light side, it has a positive side. And so if you differentiate, right, you create that separation by making some things good and some things bad, without seeing the bad side of the good and the good side of the bad, then you create that resistance. And so when you look at something bad and go, what's the good in this? Then you no longer resist it. You no longer think about it. You no longer focus on it.
Gotcha. That's a very good, interesting perspective.
Yeah, COVID's bad, right? But with COVID, we have people staying at home more, working at home, maybe connecting with family more. We have people connecting with each other in ways they never did before. We have this going on like you and I are doing right now. So there's enormous benefits from COVID. And if we just looked at it on a higher level, it has purpose, right? Every disease and every famine and every natural disaster that's ever happened has happened with purpose.
It's been such a interesting year, 2020 as a whole, with everything going on, and the world seems like it's in chaos.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not in chaos. I mean, I don't know what you're looking at right now, but I'm looking out at the most amazing, ridiculous view ever. And whoever's in office and whatever virus is out there, 99% of what's going on right now is beautiful, is amazing, is perfect. My world is as wonderful as it's always been. But if I watch the news and I focus on COVID and Trump and Biden and people hating each other because of the color of their skin or their religion, and then I'll say, God, this is a terrible year. The fact is, it isn't. I mean, some of the most amazing things have happened for me and clients of mine this year. That, for me, it's the best year ever. And so that's crazy.
Isn't that interesting how a lot of negatives on one side can be turned to a positive, in your own experience? And same with me, things have been great for me. I've been working at home more, connecting with family more, getting in touch with myself more, just being able to focus and have alone time in a different and unique way that I didn't have before because of COVID, and just kind of being forced to stay home per se.
Yeah, but again, you turn that incredible positive into a negative by calling it forced. I've been allowed to stay home. I've been invited to stay home. I've had the opportunity to meditate, to self-realize, to get to know myself. Why would any person ever want to spend any time with me if I don't enjoy spending time alone with me? And so I'm being invited to have a partnership with myself I never had before, when I could go out and distract myself, when I could go out and be with people. And the fact is, most people who go out and be with people aren't with them anyway, because they're on their fucking phone or whatever else.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone's like half here, half there.
We've been social distancing for years with anti-social media and phones and everything else. And now we have this disease that says we can't interact socially, but what's the big deal? You gave that up a long time ago. Like, people are having dates and talking to other people on their phones. People are hanging out together and scrolling through social media. And so COVID has just come to remind us of, hey, you're already doing this. You're already living the unlived life. And so now when we tell you you have to, it's terrible. But it's not, because it allows all these other opportunities. And it's only terrible because you're not doing it. But you were doing it to yourself before this happened. And so wake up.
Yeah, the phone's a powerful device. It's giving us it's given us a lot of benefits, but it also takes away a lot in terms of your attention, your ability to stay in the present moment, and you're always just kind of like looking for that social media hit, someone liking your post or someone liking your video or whatnot. But it's very distracting, definitely.
Shiny object syndrome.
On a mass level, everywhere.
At a mass level, yeah.
In every person.
Like we just said, everything has its positives, right? The phone, social media have great positives, and they also have great negatives. Being rich, has obvious positives. It also has terrible negatives, right? Terrible negatives. Like, what are you going to do with that money? And who wants to take it from you? And where will you invest it next? And does anybody love me for me or just for my money? And I'm so caught up in making money to have financial freedom, I'm imprisoned by making money. And a lot of people who make money even wear a monkey suit with a noose around their neck to show that they're prisoners of the man, of the corporations, to show who they really work for. Right? So that's really unfortunate. That's terrible. And so, but for some people, that's a great game if they don't take it seriously. Like, this isn't who I am. This is just what I do. And like playing Monopoly, it's fun. But I'm not going to make this who I am or make this too valuable, more valuable than me. I mean, we had a conversation, you and I had a conversation. I remember you sitting in that chair right behind me. And I told you one day on your way up, because you're a successful guy and you're an intelligent guy and a great entrepreneur. And you care about achieving an accomplishment and helping other people do that. And I remember looking at you and I said, Dad, no matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish, I won't love you anymore. And no matter what you don't do or lose, I won't love you any less. Don't seduce me into loving what you achieve or what you own so that I won't love you. And that's what I mean. I saw a wonderful statement the other day. Like, some people are really busy and desire lots of money and big houses and fast cars and beautiful women. And that's success for them. And for another person, success is a tiny cottage out in the nature, away from all those people who make them crazy. Right? The last thing they want to do is waste their time with those people. And those people are like, you're crazy. Why are you out in nature doing nothing? Right? And so success has nothing to do with what happens on the outside. And there's a light and shadow side to everything. But you don't want to make your identity what you do or what's happening around you, because what's happening around you is infinite. And you're picking out very small pieces of that infinite and defining yourself, or defining your day, or defining 2020. And that's incredibly unfortunate. How do you not age fast? You don't do that.
I want to ask you, Pat, are you seeing a lot more people like locally, or are you seeing more people kind of in terms of clients being connected now, like through the internet, like a lot more clients everywhere, all around the world? Or
yeah, I've kind of always, it's funny, again, COVID really didn't change anything. Like, I've always had clients all over, mm-hmm. with the majority of the people being in my local community. And so recently I started, before COVID, I started getting interested in doing more online, like internationally. And then, of course, COVID hit at the perfect time to have that make more sense. But nothing's changed as far as the numbers go. Like, I still have about the same percentage of international clients as I do local clients. The only thing that happened is my rate nearly doubled locally, right? And that just, I don't know how that just kind of happened organically. So yeah, it hasn't really changed.
I did see that you rebranded the website.
Yeah, we have the business website, the Holistic Health Playground,
right?
Which is terrible. Like, it's an ancient website. It's like everything they say you should do that is wrong, that makes a bad website, that's what that website is. And so I just have another website now for my own coaching. That's at patrickcross.com.
Yeah, I saw it. So that's good to see. And then also I saw that you were in a bunch of other like featured interviews and also featured in magazines. Tell me how that's been.
That's been fun. Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, for me, the connections with the people that have done the interviews has been way more valuable than the interviews. As you know, I love this.
Right, yeah.
One-on-one. I love being present with people. And so, like, the last podcast I did was with 3 other coaches, and it was, I mean, amazing people, absolutely amazing people. And just the chance to connect and converse with them and was way more valuable than, something you'd post on your website for me. Same with the magazine interview, like the person who contacted me and why they said they wanted to interview me was way more valuable than the interview itself.
It's really amazing how like a conversation can be so impactful, and how like a meeting or a moment can have so much impact on your life, or just transforming your life. Like a chance meeting or an introduction to someone or something or some concept can really change like the whole outlook of your life.
Totally. Like, those things are so valuable, but what I find is equally valuable is just making that connection with that person at the grocery store. Like, and it doesn't have to be much of a conversation, just eye contact, right? Is so valuable. When somebody takes the time to actually look at you and you know they're present with you, way more than if they said something brilliant or interesting or gave me a stock tip or anything. I mean, that's of real little value to me. But connecting with people, and whether people know it or not, the reason people are entrepreneurs or business people or salespeople or whatever they do, really, what they're really looking for is connection. And if they're good at whatever they do, that's what they're providing, way more than their product.
I think like you kind of nailed it there. Like, I had this experience probably a few weeks ago. I've been skateboarding, Pat, Like,
I used to do that as a kid.
yeah. So I start, like, I'll tell you how I got back into skateboarding. It was just, I've been dealing with a lot of stress in the past few years, and being an entrepreneur requires a lot of just thinking, and also being able to handle stress and take ownership and responsibilities when things go bad or good.
Yeah.
And I wanted to find something where it was just me being able to, one, be by myself, but also be creative in a way. And I found that skateboarding allowed me to kind of not think, but think at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just thinking about the moment, but I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do in terms of, like, land a trick or just cruise around so I don't fall.
Yeah, like that's a form of meditation. Like some people focus on the breath when they do meditation, or they'll focus on a mantra, or even looking like the third eye, and they'll be looking at something in particular. For me, weight training is that, because it clears my mind. I can only focus on the rep. But ironically, when you're focusing on that one thing, the thoughts that come through are really clear. You have your best ideas then.
Yeah, and going back to it, like, so I was at the skate park in Chinatown in Vancouver, and there was this homeless guy there. Well, him and his friend, and they're just kind of like sleeping and getting up and whatnot. And I was just skating around, and I was having trouble, like, landing a trick and going off this obstacle. And the guy was just, like, very nice and just gave me some pointers, and we had a really good conversation. And I kind of asked him, like, hey, like, why are you, like, in this situation, right? And he was very upfront and very, I guess, comfortable in just telling me, just, hey, like, I had some issues with some family, and I've been homeless for, like, just under a year. And what is interesting about that is, like, I think if I was younger and less mature and had less life experience, I'd be very judgmental of that. And as I've gotten older, and as I've gone through life more, and I realize that everyone really does have their own unique story, and we don't have any right to judge anyone for whatever life they may be living, because we have no idea, like, what that's like. I think people will judge because they think they have an ideal of what that person should be. Instead of being homeless, you should have a job. Instead of being an asshole, you should be nice. But you don't know what's really creating those, that situation for that person.
Well, yeah, all judgment is self-judgment. So if you're having that judgment about that person, you're basically saying, if this happens to me, I'll hate myself. If this were me, I would do better. If this were me, right? I never forgive myself. This would never happen to me because I'm so intolerant of that in me, which is unfortunate, because, like, you just described a beautiful connection between you and another human being. And so how rich was that? Because you could have met a rich person in Chinatown and him have dismissed you, or not even acknowledged you, or had no connection at all. And so how valuable was your experience of the homeless person in that case compared to possibly a rich person? And so realizing he gave you way more than the rich person would give you. Yet most people will focus on the rich guy, like, how do I please you? How do I impress you? How do I do something to get your attention so you'll finance my project, or give me money, or employ me, right? And that's super unfortunate, because it's so disgenuine, and you're not connecting with that person at all. You're connecting with what they can do for you. Yet this guy, right, with no money at all and no home, gave you tips on how to enjoy something that's important to you. And it's recreation. You said it's kind of creative. Well, yeah, recreation is recreation. Like, I'm creating something new in every moment I'm on this board. And it feels like play and freedom and childlike. And so I get myself back in this. I recreate myself every time I do something like this. And he's helping me do that. At least as important as anything a rich guy could do for you.
I realized how important it is to really be happy on a physical level and a mental level and an emotional level.
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep the body happy so your mind can be happy as well. Like, you can't have one without the other. And for a long time, I would neglect my health just because, you know, I would sit in my chair and work all day and be stressed out all night.
Yeah.
And then, like, as I start to just, you know, go back to doing things as I did as a kid and enjoying, you know, playing sports with friends and just being outdoors and going on hikes, it realizes, like, how much of a rich life we're already living. Just to be able to, like,
Exactly.
to be here and enjoy all the things that we can enjoy.
That's another way to not age, Dad, right? Like, I had another person sit across me from that chair and say, you know, you need to promote yourself more. You need to get yourself out there, and you should market yourself and get on stage and do all kinds of podcasts. And I was like, well, why would I do that? And he's like, well, then you'd make a lot of money. And I'd be like, okay, so why do I want a lot of money? And he said, well, then you could do whatever you want. And I'm like, but I'm already doing whatever I want. I work out when I want. I meditate when I want. I work as many hours a day as I want. I live in this beautiful space. Amazing people come to see me every day. I live in a 9,000 square foot house with an enormous gym and pool inside the house. And you're convincing me to do a lot of things I don't want to do and hustle to make money so that I can buy back what I already have? I said, that's fucking crazy.
That's backwards right there.
That's totally backwards. I give myself what I need up front, and then I let the other things come to me. Instead of push away what I need up front, work to get what I need so that I can give myself back some time for skateboarding when I finally can afford it. That's crazy. It's like, I'm going to skateboard now so that I'm relaxed, so I make better use of my time, so I don't stress myself out, so I don't fall apart, so that I can make more money but effortlessly.
Yeah.
When I make $1 million, I'll relax. When I make $2 million, I'll relax. It'll never be enough. If it's not enough right now, it'll never be enough, and you'll never get there. So give yourself what that money and those freedoms represent to you up front. Then all the pressure's gone. Then you can just do those things for fun. Instead of getting to 50 or 60 and going, holy shit, now I have the money to do whatever I want, but I'm too old to do it. And I'm so stressed out. And I got ulcers, and I've been hospitalized twice. And I'm going to have a heart attack, and maybe I have cancer.
Yeah.
Now I got plenty of money to do whatever I want. It's totally insane.
That is quite insane, hey? Like, giving up your whole physical, emotional, and parts of your life just for some paper.
For paper, which is worthless. Like, money's worthless. What we do with it has value. But what most people do with it is buy more superficial, worthless things like cars and things instead of experiences. Like, life is an experience. It's not who dies with the most toys wins.
Yeah, you definitely need to live life. What would you recommend someone young, Pat, like someone that just kind of maybe like just got out of high school or university and they feel kind of lost? What type of direction would you put them towards in terms of just being able to put themselves in a right like mindset or a right way to go about things? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, for every person it's different, so it depends on the person, right? And so to answer that question based on what I just said, I would have them list their core values, right? And what I mean by that is not like ethics, morals, that kind of thing. By core values, I mean, what do you value? Like, what do you really value? It might be cars, it might be houses, it might be money, right? Because those things don't have value intrinsically, but you give them value if you value those things, right? But if it's things like love and partnership and freedom and adventure and travel, right? Experiential, that's ideal, because those things are truly valuable, right? And so once they've listed those core values and they're clear on what they are, then how can you give yourself those things every day while you're making money? And let your core values determine what career you choose, what path you choose. So then you'll be doing it for fun right from the start, and you'll make more money, because everything we enjoy and everything that takes what takes the least amount of effort, you do better. And if you put effort into something that's easy for you, you're going to get a lot more done than if you put effort into something that's hard for you, or you don't really value, you don't really enjoy. So Don't do what your parents told you to do. If you don't love numbers and money, don't be an accountant. If you don't like law or what lawyers do, or medicine and what doctors do, don't do those things. Do something that fits with your core values and really live life, because you're only 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 once. Mm-hmm. Right? So you need to start enjoying life now. But we say things like, you need to grow up. Now you're finished school, you got to grow up. You got responsibilities, you got things you got to do. And so you can no longer be a kid. You can no longer be childlike. You have to be mature, which is another word for being childish. Doing what you have to do instead of what you want to do, which makes you stressed, makes you angry, makes you tired, makes you resentful. And that's an awful way to live.
Yeah, like having all those emotions that you just mentioned, definitely not the best way to live. I found just being able to enjoy every little thing that comes across your day makes it even that much better. Like just going outside for a walk, buying a coffee and saying something nice to somebody, or just being in a good mood because you decided to be in a good mood. Loving your life for whatever it is and what it could be as well. Totally. Not what it's not.
If you're doing that, wouldn't you have way more energy to get things accomplished?
For sure, 100%.
Like if I go to the grocery store, like I said before, and somebody gives me $100, but just kind of disregards me or doesn't connect with me at all, for me, that's of no value compared to the same person catching my eyes, smiling, right, and connecting with me. Like, that has tremendous value. $100, you know that, you're good at making money, right? $100 is nothing. Like, time and presence time is the only non-renewable resource we have. Money is highly renewable, and we're sacrificing time to make money. It's crazy, totally crazy. Like, we want to live with presence, and then you make way better use of your time instead of sacrificing it and missing out on presence and watching time fly by.
That's crazy, right? Just being almost like a passenger in your own life.
Exactly.
And just letting it, go right by, and not trying anything or not doing anything you actually want, but just existing.
Exactly. And you're doing it because your parents, society, your friends, your peers say that's what you should do. But we don't stop to say, well, what do I actually value? Like, what actually makes me feel happy, joyful, ecstatic, blissful, right? Instead of, what do I need to do in order to get those things eventually, but never actually get there?
Being in the moment and playing sports have been such a good reminder of like how wonderful it is to be outside or be indoors playing whatever sport with a group of friends, and just enjoying that moment because you decided to, and you're happy doing it.
The most valuable things in the world are the things that you do for no reason, no purpose. Like music, the purpose of the song is to not be done. The song. The purpose of dance is to not be done. It's to listen to the music. It's to dance. The purpose of busyness, right, is not making money, but it's the connections made. It's the experience. It's the game. It's the art of the deal, right? It's the play. But if we get focused on the result, the goal, the end, we are literally choosing death all the time. Like we're looking for the end of everything, the result, the goal, instead of the actual experience itself. And that's why it's so appropriate that, in business and in much of the workforce, it's changing a lot, but people wear suits with ties, right? It's like, it's symbolic of my uniform, like in prison. Like the guards have different uniforms than the prisoners. Well, in corporate America, like the guys at the very top, you see all their videos, they're in like t-shirts. Right? And all the guys working like crazy to make them richer are wearing suits. It's crazy. Totally crazy.
That is interesting that you brought that up. I also was watching The Matrix probably like a week ago, and there was this part, I can't remember if I think it's in The Matrix 2, where they talk about cause and effect. When you're at cause over things, or you're at the effect of things. And it's just...
yeah, so the conversation we just had, I said, put effect ahead of cause. Because if you put cause ahead of effect, you're missing out on the effect. You're missing out on the whole reason of doing it. And that's the experience of doing it, and not where it'll get you, but that goal, that result, what that represents for you. It might be freedom, it might be liberation, it might be love, it might be connection, it might be presence. Those things are all free. You can give those to yourself up front, and then you enjoy the game of whatever you're playing. It can be business, it can be anything. Like anything can be valuable and fun if you value what you're doing and you enjoy it and you put yourself fully into it.
Yeah.
Don't sacrifice yourself to it. Be part of it.
The aspect of playing a game, it really goes into all areas of life that you can be like having a goal to win something, or to level up, or to achieve something, just as in a game, and you don't have to be emotional about it.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be attached to it, right? You make it a game, you enjoy doing it, right? And you get lots of emotion out of it, rather than attaching all the emotion to the result. It's like sex. Like, I mean, we all love it. But is the purpose of it to have it to be done? Yes, actually, in our society, we've made that the purpose. how quick can I get her to orgasm? How many can I get her? That's the end. In fact, the French have a term, le petit mort. It means little death. Orgasm is of death. And so we're rushing towards death and not paying attention to what we're doing. Like, the purpose of sex is sex. The purpose of dance is dance. The purpose of business is business. Not where it's getting you, not to the end. Because the ultimate end is death.
So it's the moment, Pat?
Why are you rushing towards it?
So it's just being in the moment is the point.
Being in the moment, right? Enjoying it and letting it be and letting it last and let it come to fruition. And the result is just a wonderful little bonus, a symptom of your joy, not the purpose of your joy.
For most people, I think the moment is the hardest thing for them to grasp.
Yes. Yeah. We want to live a long time and we want to have a big life. Yet the moment is infinite. Like this moment right now, we could dive in super deep and do our very best with our limited senses to realize everything that's happening in this moment. It's infinite. That's endless. Like, that's immortality, is to be in the moment fully. But we pass by every single moment looking for the result, the next thing, the carrot on the stick. And so we're never in the moment. We're worried about the past or regretting the past or not healing the past or not transforming the past. And we're focused on the future. I can't wait until, I can't wait until, I can't wait until. And so we're not living in the only place you can actually live, which is now. You can't live in the past. You can't live in the future. They don't exist, right? You can only live now, but people are ignoring now to get to that future that never comes.
It's very interesting. It's a very interesting concept. But being in the now, it's where it's at. It's where you can make the most change.
Yeah, like I said, if you're already successful now, you're going to be successful in 5 years, right? If you look at yourself right now as successful, you really appreciate in this moment how successful you are, you'll still be successful in 5 years. You might have 10 million more dollars, but you'll still be successful. If you look at yourself right now in this moment as not successful, not having enough, in 5 years, you might have 10 million more dollars and you'll still be not successful, not having enough. So now is where you change everything.
The now, always, huh? Living in the now.
Always.
That is, I think that's the hardest thing to do, live in the now.
And yet, all those things people want to accomplish, if you were fully present in the now, you'd accomplish way, 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 way more. Because you don't have your attention divided between the past and the future and your goals and what it'll look like and your status and how other people will see you. You'll have all this energy to do fully right now. And that's why, like you said, skateboarding, things like that are so important, because if life's a drag, you'll get less done in 8 hours than you'll get done in 15 minutes if you're fully energized.
What do you think about influence, Pat?
I think it's sad.
And how people are influenced by, their peers or the people around them.
Yeah, I think it's sad, because if you're trying to influence or you're being influenced, you're not being your authentic self. Right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're being influenced, you're letting other people determine what your life should look like, what you want out of life.
And say you don't have that much self-confidence to say, hey, like, that's not what I want. Like, what's one of the best ways for someone to develop self-confidence? To be able to say...
We're talking about being in the moment, learning to enjoy your own company, giving yourself what you value, like skateboarding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because self-confidence comes from loving yourself, not from what you achieve, right? If you think it comes from what you achieve, you're going to constantly have to be achieving to keep that up.
It's like a drug addict.
It is. It's absolutely an addiction. But you got to keep it up in order to feel the confidence. And you got to keep topping the last one in order to maintain it. Whereas if you're loving yourself, if you're being in that moment, if you're living by your core values, living by your core values alone will give you enormous confidence. And then ironically, you could do more. But many people hear that and say, okay, I'm going to do more recreation. I'm going to do more meditation. I'm going to work more on being in the now so that I can achieve more. That's terrible. That doesn't work. You want to do it for no reason whatsoever because it's fun. Like as a child, you didn't skateboard, right? For a reason. You did it because it was fun. Like kids don't play with toys for a reason because it'll give them influence or it'll give them money. They do it just for fun.
So joy, right?
Huh?
So they're getting joy out of it.
Getting joy out of it instead of payment out of it. Right? Anything you're paid for undermines it.
Interesting.
Because it invites you to believe you're doing it for the money. You're doing it to get ahead instead of just doing it for fun. And it's way more pressure when, like, way back, you know, I'm quite a bit older than you. way back on a show called, I don't even know, it might even still exist, 60 Minutes. You've heard of that show.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So way back in the day, they did a show where they brought a bunch of kids into a room with a bunch of puzzles and toys and games. And they just opened the door and let them in. And these kids played the games, finished the puzzles, laughing, having a great time. Then they took, and this was a long time ago, so this is a lot of money. And these kids were like 10, 11 years old, 8 to 11 years old. Then they took the kids to another group of kids to the same room and said, well, we're going to give you $10 to go in this room and play with these games and toys. They went in, there was almost no interaction between the kids, right? Interpersonal interaction. They picked at the toys and opened them and started them, but they didn't finish them. They didn't play them, right? And so at the end, they asked them, well, why wouldn't you? Like, they're just a bunch of toys. It's just a bunch of games and puzzles. It's fun. And the kids, even at that age, said, well, we figured if it was something bad enough to have you pay us for, it was something we didn't want to do. And these kids watched their dads and maybe their moms, I mean, way back, going out to make money, coming home miserable and tired, putting their feet up and grabbing their newspaper and ignoring the family because they had such a hard day. Why would any kid want to make money, right? It's about sacrifice. So you want to change that of money is just a symptom of having fun instead of cause and effect. I need to make money to have fun. No. I need to have fun to make money. And if I'm not having fun making money, I'm a prisoner. Of my job, of my boss, of my corporation, of my own ambition.
Pat, I wanted to ask you this. How did you end up where you're at in terms of being like able to help people, doing life coaching, like business coaching and whatnot? Did you always have a desire to do that, or did it kind of the universe put it together for you?
Well, this kind of goes back to the last interview I did. You know, I was kind of that person, and many coaches find this, I think, that lots of even friends, like as a teenager, would come to me for advice. And so I always kind of had that. And then I've always done the weight training and done coaching like that. Even before I owned my first gym, I would be the guy that people would ask for advice on the gym floor.
Got it.
Come to me and say, why are you doing that? And what should I do about this and all of that? It's kind of always there in some form or another.
And were you influenced by anything, maybe at home or your parents at all, like to be able to give others advice, or just seen as a person that has good insight?
I wasn't influenced. I was influenced. Okay, here we go. So traditionally we would look for something positive. Did you have a positive influence in your life, or a coaching influence in your life that would make you want to do that? And no, actually my experience of being a kid was really painful. Like I was really anxious, and I dealt with depression a lot in my life. And my experience of my parents' unhappiness was also a major factor in wanting to, in the beginning, be what I needed to be for people around me to be okay.
Got it.
So I think I set that vibe out of
being someone that's strong. Got
Let
it.
me take care of you so that I'll be okay. If I could just make my dad happy, then I'd be okay. If I could just make my mom happy, I'd be okay. If I could just get them to be happy together, then I'll be okay. And so that kind of, then I started doing it with friends and other people. And like I said in my former interview, it's a really negative energy to be in that state of taking care of people and rescuing people.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, by doing that in all the wrong ways, right, trying to get my needs met, just like trying to make money to get needs met, I fell apart. So I didn't become wise to it. I didn't wake up and go, wow, you should stop doing this. This isn't actually helping you or other people. I completely fell apart, and I desperately wanted to kill myself. And I nearly did. And that was my bottom.
Right.
I finally figured out everything I'd been doing wrong. So some people do this with business, some people do this with coaching, some people do this in relationships. I think I did it in all three to a degree. But I hit bottom, and then some very amazing things happened that changed the course of my life and changed the way I coached. So I wouldn't be talking like this at all 15 years ago.
Got it.
Like I would be buying into the superficial reasons for coaching and making money and achievement and accomplishment and influence. But a fool, William Blake, the writer, poet, writer, has the quote, "A fool who persists in his folly will eventually become wise." That was me. I eventually figured out the folly in what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And that changed not just my life and the joy that I could experience in life, but changed how I coach completely. And people get really amazing results from one conversation, as opposed to before, like my coaching model would have taken forever, whether it was body transformation or whatever I was trying to do at the time. It would be that cause and effect, logical, it's going to be a lot of work and you really got to hunker down and it's going to take years to get where you want to go.
Yeah,
I learned that's not true.
I remember last time I was at your place, it was a pretty emotional moment we had there that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was very unique because I think maybe I held a lot of things in for so many years. Just I guess it was a part of just being molded into not letting, I guess, emotion show or not being able to express it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And just being open, but also willing to let them out, like let it out. It also, it's just like when people say, you know, there's a weight that's been lifted off your shoulders. And I feel when you're able to show emotion, not that you're necessarily an emotional person, but you're able just to express it, you can really just let it go.
Well, as I've asked men especially this question before, would it take more courage and strength on your part to tamp down your emotions and punch me in the face, or express your emotions and cry and give me a hug? And to a man, every one of them says, when they're honest, it would take way more courage and strength to share my emotions with you, to cry in front of you, and to let you embrace me, than it would for me to punch you in the face or you to punch me in the face. And I have clients, amazing, beautiful clients, beautiful, powerful men, you know, some of which who have been to prison. And these men don't hesitate at all anymore to tell me they love me, or to share a hug with me, or to share how strong they feel now that they've been allowing their emotions, as opposed to how wound up they felt before trying to suppress their emotions.
Yeah, always being tense, right? Ready to pop any moment.
I got to keep it together. But that's a great explanation of depression. Like some people say it's anger turned inwards, but another way of just looking at it flat out is depression, right? I'm depressing all my emotions until I go black. Because you cannot depress your fear, your shame, your pain, your trauma, your sadness, without suppressing your joy, your ecstasy, your bliss, your pleasure. And so you go black. And from being in a place of deep depression myself, that's what it was like. It was just like blackness. It went from really uncomfortable, painful anxiety from trying to do that, to just black, where nothing mattered anymore. There was no joy in anything. I couldn't feel anyone's love. I couldn't notice anything beautiful around me. I couldn't get any joy from the things I once enjoyed. It just went black. And so that's what can happen from depressing your emotions, because you cannot depress your pain without depressing your joy. They go together.
So yeah, like your world can definitely open up when you're in tune and willing to let your emotions express themselves.
Yes.
And I think being able to express emotion does not mean you're emotional. You know what I mean? Like I think when people hear the term emotional,
what you're talking about is the shadow side. We're holistic beings, so we have a masculine side and a feminine side. The feminine side is nurturing, nourishing, being, right? Inspirational. That's feminine energy, is inspiration. The masculine side is doing, validating, affirming, right? Logical. Feminine creative, masculine logical. So we need to have the balance of the two within us. And there's a shadow side of masculine energy, right? Where you go from a place of power for all, which is true power, healthy masculine energy, to power for one, which is negative. It's the illusion of power. And it's where influence, and I got to be better than I was yesterday, and I got to be better than the guy next to me. And the reason I got to be better is because I feel less than. And the more insecure and less than I feel, the better I have to be tomorrow, and the better I need to be than the guy next to me. But if I'm confident and loving and have healthy masculine energy, then I'm going to create power for everyone around me. It's not about being better, because the desire to be better comes from a place of feeling worse.
Right, got it.
So if I feel better already, I will just spread that. But if I feel worse, I need to be better then.
That's a great point.
So that's the shadow side of masculine energy. The shadow side of feminine energy, the light side of feminine energy, is emotional. Is orgasm, pleasure, joy, right? Bliss and sadness. Feeling lonely, like feeling abandoned, feeling unimportant, right? It's because if you don't feel your sadness and pain, you won't be able to feel your joy, your bliss, right? So they go together. So being emotional, full spectrum emotional, healthy emotional, is ideal. But the shadow side of feminine energy is over emotional in the negative way. Like, right. I'm always upset. I'm always sad. I'm always feeling less than. I'm always feeling abandoned. I'm always feeling compromised. I'm ditzy and confused, as opposed to strong emotional. Because if you and I did this conversation and we were both super flat, monotone, no emotion at all, nobody would get anything from it. But we want to be emotional.
Right.
Right? We want to show that we're alive. And emotion is alive. Energy in motion, emotion. Like, being unemotional is broken.
That's a very unique and good point, Pat. And yeah, man, what an interesting way to really put it all together. Because we really spoke about the law of attraction in the very beginning of this talk, and now just me thinking about it, like having you on here and just thinking about you, and you and I have always kept in contact throughout the years, and it's just interesting when we always cross paths and are able to do something together. And it's always a pleasure every single time I get to talk to you, and it's always very insightful.
I think you just said my name backwards. Cross path.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. No, and what's more beautiful than that is we keep doing this intersection thing, right?
Right. And Pat, so like, how can people, get in touch with you? What's the best way for people to, reach out to you? Is it social media? Is it through your website? If they want to, get a one-on-one with you, what's the best way to contact you?
You could go to patrickcross.com, right? Email is coach@patrickcross.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, I mean, I have a small presence on Facebook and Instagram. I don't particularly like those platforms too much for connecting with people.
Got it.
But I'm there as well.
Okay, got it. So the best way to reach Pat is through the website. I would definitely recommend checking Pat out. I've been there myself to his playground, and it's a pretty unique experience. So Pat, I want to thank you for having this conversation. It's always such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much, Dat. And I appreciate you having a name that rhymes with mine. That's helpful.
That's it. The universe has put us together.
Pat and Dat.
All right, Pat. I'll see you later. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Dat.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with Pat Cross. It's always fun when we have Pat, here with me. And make sure you guys subscribe, leave any comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.